So today we're talking about lesson 2.8. That's module 2, lesson 8. And your learning goal today is to be able to multiply whole numbers by using the standard algorithm and also use estimation to check whether or not your product is reasonable. When it says a product here, what does that mean? What's a product? Roni? It's the answer to a what kind of problem? Yeah. So basically you're using estimation to make sure that your answer from the multiplication problem is correct. Okay, but first let's talk about the problem of the day. Today, as we said, our goal is to be able to multiply numbers using the standard algorithm, which you should be like, yes, I already know how to do that, good. And use estimation to figure out if your answer should be reasonable or not. Okay, so let's write down this problem. 314 multiplied by 236. Those are our factors. Now that we have it written down, first, let's round the factors to estimate. Okay, so our first factor is 314. We always like to round to the leftmost place value. So what place value is on the very left? That's the hundreds place. So let's round 314 to the nearest hundred. 314 is pretty close to what hundred? What hundred? Roni? 300, I agree. Okay. Now, let's talk about this one. 236, the leftmost place value is also the hundreds place. So we could say 236 is pretty close to what hundred? Sporty? 200. Okay. Now, is it really easy to use these rounded factors to multiply? We can do 300 times 200. And we can use what we know about math facts to do 3 times 2 is what, Itai?
3 times 2 is 6.
And how many zeros how many factors of 10 do we have?
We have 4.
So we need to add how many zeros?
4 zeros.
Okay, so we know that our product should be pretty close to 60,000. But let's take it one step further. Did we round these numbers up or down? Is 300 less or more than 314? Yes. Okay, so did we round it up or down?
Down.
Okay. What about 236 compared to 200? Did we round that up or down?
Down.
Okay, so since we rounded these factors down, how does that affect this estimated product? Is this product that we estimated actually going to be less or more than our actual product? Talk to your table group about what you think and how you know. Okay. Can you explain to us, since we rounded these factors down, how is that going to affect the estimated product?
It's going to affect the estimated product because there were still 14 and 36 in those numbers. And so when we round it, basically we're just taking away the...
Yeah, so then how does that affect the product? Is our actual answer going to be higher or lower than 60,000? Our actual answer.
Lower. I mean higher.
It's going to be higher because 60,000, the products are lower than the actual factors, right? So our actual product is going to be higher. It's going to be more than 60,000. So if we end up, after we multiply, if we end up with a number like 6,236, would we say that's reasonable?
Yeah.
6,000?
No. Oh, no.
Because that's less than the estimate. What if we end up with 59,999? That's pretty close to 60,000. Is that reasonable?
No.
It's only one away from our estimated product.
No, because it has to be higher.
What happens if we end up with 61,255? Do we feel like that's reasonable?
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit higher than our estimated product. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, if we're going to use the standard algorithm to solve, first we need to write it vertically. So we need to write the two factors on top of each other. And don't forget to add the multiplication sign on the side, because if you don't, we don't know if you're adding or subtracting or multiplying. Okay. So we can get ready to multiply. Of course, we start with the ones place. I know that 6 times 4 is 24. I'm going to record the little 2 there when I carry it or when I regroup it. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 2 is 8. Good. 6 times 3 is 18. Okay, now I'm going to work with the tens. So I'm going to add a 0 here. 3 times 4 is 12. I'm going to write the 1 right there. Okay, 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. And then 3 times 3 is 9. Finally, I'm going to work with the hundreds place. So I'm going to add 2 zeros. 2 times 4 is 8. Nothing to regroup. 2 times 1 is 2. Again, nothing to regroup. And 3 times 2 is 6. Nothing to regroup. Now I can add Altogether, I have 4 ones, 10 tens, so I can regroup that. 8 plus 4 is 12, 20, 21 hundreds, regroup that. 14 thousands, regroup that, and 7 10,000s. Our final answer is 74,104. Compared to our estimate, remember we can think in our head that our estimate was 300 times 200 equals 60,000. Is our answer reasonable? How do you know? How do you know that our actual answer of 74,104 is reasonable? Alina?
So when we rounded the factors to make an estimate, we rounded down so we knew that our actual product would be higher. So then when, and then 74,104 is more than our estimated product.
You got it.
60,000.
Good. So in this case, because we rounded both factors up, we made both factors higher when we estimated, we know that our real product is going to be less than our estimated product of 600,000. Go ahead and do the multiplication in your notebook and check to see if that's actually what the case is. If our estimate was 600,000 and we knew it had to be lower because we rounded the factors up, is our answer reasonable?
Yes.
So should we feel confident about our answer?
Yes.
Great. So in this case, I rounded one factor up and one factor down. So what is our estimated product? I can do 5,000 times 400. And I can use my math facts to know that 5 times 4 is how many, Itai?
20.
And how many factors of 10 do I have to add?
Yeah, 5.
5, so 5 zeros. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now in this case, I rounded one factor up and one factor down. So does that give me any information about whether my real product should be higher or lower than 2 million?
No. Yes.
I don't really know, right? So in this case, sometimes when you round one factor up and one factor down, you don't know. All you know is that your answer should be pretty close to your estimate of 2 million, okay? When we round both numbers up or both numbers down, then you can have an educated guess about whether your answer should be higher or lower. But when you round one factor up and one factor down, you can't really tell, okay? Good.